In the heart of Siberia, winter is more than a season. It's a force of nature. Out on the vast frozen tundra, temperatures can plummet to an unimaginable -60 degrees Celsius. In this landscape, the cold isn't your only enemy. When the blizzards descend, engulfing everything in a blinding whiteout, something else stirs in the storm. The predators, driven by hunger, use the chaos as their hunting ground. This is the story of one nomad family and their desperate fight for survival in the face of Siberia's deadliest hunter. Imagine this: a small traditional yurt, a beacon of warmth against the howling Siberian wind. Inside, a family huddles together, a father, a mother, and their young son. They are the Awenki people, nomads who have roamed these lands for centuries. Their lives dictated by the rhythm of the seasons and the migration of their reindeer herds. For them, survival is an art form, a collection of skills and traditions passed down through generations. They understand the cold, they respect the wild. But on this night, their ancient knowledge would be tested like never before. The day had started like any other in the deep freeze. The father, let's call him Anatoly, had been tending to their reindeer, the lifeblood of their existence. The sky, a pale, icy blue, gave no hint of the fury that was about to be unleashed. But the animals knew. The reindeer were restless, their breath misting and freezing in the frigid air. Anatoly, reading the subtle signs of nature, knew a storm was coming. He rushed to secure the herd and reinforce their yurt, their portable home made of felt and animal skins. His wife Alina prepared a meager but hot meal, the scent of wood smoke and stew a small comfort against the encroaching cold. By late afternoon, the world outside had vanished. Blizzard, a purga as the locals call it, had descended with breathtaking speed. The wind howled like a tortured spirit, whipping snow into a disorienting, impenetrable wall of white. Visibility dropped to zero. The temperature, already dangerously low, continued to fall. Inside the yurt, the family was cocooned from the storm, but not from the sense of isolation. They were a tiny island in a raging ocean of ice and wind. It was then that they heard it. A sound that didn't belong to the storm. It was a low, guttural growl, a sound that vibrated through the very floor of the yurt. Anatoly froze, his hand instinctively reaching for the old hunting rifle that was always by his side. The reindeer, tethered just outside, began to panic, their frantic movements and cries barely audible over the gale. Another sound followed the splintering of wood. Something was trying to get in. Something big. Peering through a tiny crack in the yurt's flap, Anatoly's heart hammered against his ribs. He could just make out a colossal, dark shape moving through the swirling snow. A Siberian brown bear. But this was no ordinary bear. Driven to desperation by the brutal winter, it was starving, and its normal fear of humans had been erased by a primal, all-consuming hunger. The blizzard, which should have driven it to its den, had instead become its perfect camouflage. It was using the whiteout as cover, stalking them, an invisible monster in the storm. The bear was intelligent, circled the yurt, testing its defenses, probing for a weak spot. It clawed at the felt walls, its immense power threatening to tear their only shelter apart. The family was trapped. To flee into the blizzard was certain death. To stay was to face a creature that saw them as its next meal. Every scrape of its claws, every furious roar that momentarily overpowered the wind, was a reminder of their terrifying predicament. The thin walls of the yurt, their only protection, suddenly felt as fragile as paper. Anatoly knew that passive defense wouldn't work. This bear was not going to give up. He had to act. But how? Firing his rifle blindly into the storm was a fool's errand. He had limited ammunition, and a missed or merely wounding shot would only enrage the beast further. He had to think like a hunter, but he was the one being hunted. He remembered the old stories, the tales of his grandfather who had faced bears in these very same conditions. Survival wasn't just about strength, it was about outsmarting your opponent. The bear's strategy was to use the storm's noise and confusion to its advantage. It would attack from one side, then use the wind's roar to circle and appear on the other, keeping the family disoriented and terrified. Bears have an incredible sense of smell, far superior to their eyesight. In the whiteout, the bear was tracking them by the scent of their fire, their food, and their fear, while they were practically blind. Anatoly understood this. He had to disrupt the bear's senses to turn the storm against it. Working with Alina in the dim lantern light, they began to prepare. They took a pot of boiling water and threw it out of the flap in the direction of the bear-esque growls. It was a small act, but the sudden hiss and steam, a foreign sensation, momentarily confused the animal. They banged pots and pans, adding their own metallic clamor to the symphony of the storm, trying to overwhelm the bear's acute hearing. Their son, though terrified, helped his father feed the stove, keeping the fire blazing hot. A hot stovepipe is a dangerous thing to touch, even for a bear. This battle of wits and wills raged for hours. The bear would retreat, and a tense silence would fall, broken only by the wind. They'd begin to hope it had gone, only for a new assault to begin from a different direction, a terrifying reminder that their ordeal was far from over. The psychological toll was immense. Every shadow, every creak of the yurt's frame sent a fresh jolt of adrenaline through their veins. They were fighting not just a physical predator, but the exhaustion and terror that threatened to consume them. Anatoly knew their best chance was to hold out until morning. Daylight would rob the bear of its primary weapon, the cover of darkness and storm. With better visibility, he might be able to get a clear shot. But the night was long, and the Siberian winter night is one of the longest on Earth. They took turns watching, conserving their energy, speaking in low whispers, offering each other words of encouragement. Their shared resilience, forged by a lifetime in this harsh environment, was their strongest weapon. As the first faint gray light of dawn began to seep through the blizzard, the bear's attacks grew more desperate, more ferocious. It knew its window of opportunity was closing. It lunged at the yurt's entrance, its massive head and shoulders tearing through the heavy felt flap. For a split second, the family came face to face with their hunter. Its eyes were black pits of rage and starvation, its teeth bared in a terrifying snarl. In that critical moment, instinct took over. Anatoly, who had positioned himself for this exact possibility, raised his rifle. There was no time for careful aim, only for a prayer and a pull of the trigger. The shot was deafening inside the small space. The bear recoiled with a roar of pain and fury, staggering back into the whiteout. Had he killed it, or just wounded it, creating an even more dangerous adversary? They waited, their breaths held, listening. The wind still howled, but the other sound, the sound of the monster, was gone. Anatoly cautiously peered outside. The snow was a swirling vortex, but in it, he saw a dark trail leading away from the yurt. The bear was gone. Whether dead or simply driven off, they didn't know. They were alive. As the blizzard finally subsided, the sun revealed a world transformed, a landscape of sculpted snow and glittering ice. The ordeal was over. They had survived the blizzard and they had survived the bear. They had done it by combining ancient tradition with quick thinking, by refusing to give in to fear, and by drawing strength from one another. Their story is a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the deep, instinctual wisdom of those who call the world's most unforgiving wilderness their home. This incredible encounter reminds us that in the wildest places on Earth, survival is a delicate dance between respect, knowledge, and sometimes sheer luck. Thank you so much for watching. If you were captivated by this story of survival, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more tales from the edge of the world. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.